for Lac La Biche St. Paul 2 Hills, followed by Upton Goldbach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Minister of Health is a complete and utter disaster. Lac La Biche was promised a dialysis bus. Then it was delayed. Then we finally got a dialysis bus, but there was no staff to run it. Then the bus broke down. It might actually be funny if it wasn't a matter of life and death. So now the bus just sits in front of the hospital. So this leaves me wondering, why aren't the dialysis units being permanently moved from the bus into the hospital?
Here, here.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have a number of communities across the province that are served by mobile dialysis service. And what this has done, Mr. Speaker, is it's allowed us to extend dialysis services to communities that do not have sufficient capacity within their hospital, whether it's a question of space or staff, in order to run a full-time dialysis unit. We'll be continuing to do this, Mr. Speaker, as we move into the future. The honourable member's constituency has obviously benefited from that service. Home dialysis is where we are headed in the future, Mr. Speaker, and that will allow us to expand additional capacity.
Honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that there are other communities, such as Athabasca, that could use a dialysis bus, why doesn't the government simply move the dialysis units from the bus into the Lac La Biche Hospital to free up the bus so it could be used elsewhere, like Athabasca?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's wonderful that the honourable member wants to advocate for a dialysis unit in his hospital, and I'm sure that my colleague, the Minister of Education, and others in this House would also like to see that be a possibility. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, we aren't able to put in place fixed dialysis units in every hospital in the province. Instead, what we've done is we've made the most of the mobile resources that we have, including staff, many of whom, Mr. Speaker, today are LPNs who have been specially trained to run dialysis equipment, who are going out across the province delivering this much-needed service to people who require it.
Honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that northern Albertans who require dialysis must travel up to 4 hours each way to receive treatment, and they don't have access to a government plane, doesn't the minister care that many people are being forced to move away from their homes, communities, and loved ones?
Here, here.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's really difficult to understand whether this member is making a case to eliminate mobile dialysis services in the province, just trying to make a case for the hospital in his own constituency, or whether there's any glimmer of hope that he might be considering the needs of the province as a whole. Mr. Speaker, dialysis and kidney disease are a growing issue in our healthcare system, as they are across the country. We'll continue to use mobile services to extend the dialysis capacity that we do have. I am very cognizant, Mr. Speaker, of the travelling that some Albertans are doing. We will be moving, as will most of the other parts of the country, to home dialysis in the future for patients who it is appropriate.